Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Northwest Indiana, where we strive to put love at the center of how we show up in the world. I am Maggie Reister, your worship assistant this morning. Welcome to you, old friends and new, young and old. You are an essential part of our celebration today. Whether today is your first or your 1,000th Sunday in our midst, we are stronger because you are with us. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome here. Today, our worship service will be led by our minister, Reverend Cathy Harrington. Since not everyone can attend in person, we are streaming this worship service online, and we extend a special welcome to all who are joining us virtually. Another way we walk together is by joining together for fun and fellowship. Now, if you have an announcement to share, you need to send it to Ashley in the office by a Wednesday afternoon. Look for our weekly Spark. Are you reading the Spark? Come to your email. Have you opened it? Open it this week. Put that tops on your to-do list. Open the Spark. Look at it. It's fabulous. You can look there for anything that you think you might have missed. In your bulletin are also announcements. The Comic Relief Film Club on the 27th, the Potluck and Game Night on April 3rd, and the Covenanting Conversation. I will tell you about this. It's very important. Unitarian Universalists are not bound by creed or doctrine. We gather together bound by covenant, guided not by fear but by love, informed not by mistrust or suspicion, but by the promises we make to each other. You are invited to share in the process of revising our current covenant or crafting a new covenant for First Unitarian. Your presence and participation at only one of 3 covenanting conversations to give broad voice to the conversation. And if necessary, we'll add 1 or 2 more sessions to make sure everyone has an opportunity. Members of the Right Relations team will join in facilitating a time facilitating the conversations and listening to all our ideas and our values and so on and so on. I won't keep going, but please sign up in the fellowship hall for one of the dates, April 7th, April 9th, April 12th, or if you can't, let us know that as well. We want all voices heard. And I believe there's a live announcement. Hurry, hurry. Run.
I think there are a lot of live announcements. What? It's getting out of hand. Hello, good morning. Thank you, everyone. I've spoken to most of you today. Everybody knows, I think for the most part, that next Saturday will be Passover Seder here at our church starting at 4 p.m. We will have the entire Passover plate with parsley and horseradish and hard-boiled eggs and gefilte fish. I don't think that goes on the Passover plate, but we'll have gefilte fish, matzo ball soup, roasted chicken, and so on. And then we will have our Haggadah, the Haggadah that my family has used for many years, modified to updated with what's going on in the world today. And so we invite everybody, most of you I've spoken to. If I have not spoken to you and you are interested in going, I am not going to be here for much longer because I have somewhere to be. And so please speak to Michelle after service if you are interested in going and have not yet spoken to me, so we can make sure we have a good count for all of the wonderful food that we're going to have. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm bringing the green beans and our president.
Hey, it just didn't make it into the bulletin, so Faith in Action is inviting everyone to join us on April 11th, a Saturday at 10 a.m. At the Marquette Park Beach to join Brown Faces, Green Spaces for a beach cleanup. They're also having like a lot of environmental groups having tables there as well. So it'll be a great event. So we're just inviting the congregation to join us out there. That's April 11th. And then we're having after coffee hour, a religious education ministry meeting. So if you'd like to join us and help us raise the next generation of UUs, then please talk to me or Carrie. Thanks.
Thanks, Michelle. Everyone, please take a moment now to greet all the beautiful souls in this space. People you saw yesterday, people you haven't seen for a few months. Aren't you glad they're here? Hello. Yes, hi, Tracy. Hi, James. Please now turn off or silence your devices. Yeah, turn them off. And as you do so, allow yourself to enter sacred time together. Take a deep breath. And another. And join in the spirit of reverence.
Good morning. Each Sunday in our worship service, we join in reciting the words of our affirmation. You'll find them in your order of service and on the screen. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament. Service is its prayer. And this is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
The flaming chalice is a symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It suggests the transformation that takes place when we are held within religious community. When we light the chalice in worship, we illuminate a world that we feel called upon to serve with love and a sense of justice. Please join us in lighting the chalice by reading together the words on the screen or your order of service.
This hour, as people of faith, of joys and sorrows, gifts and needs, we light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, celebration of the life we share.
Please stand and join us in singing the doxology.
Every
words for invocation are by Leslie Takahashi. To worship means to consider that which has worth. Today we consider with gratitude the many gifts of this community. The opportunity to be affirmed in who we are and to offer that affirmation to others. The chance to stand up together to help remake the world in the ideal of justice. The freedom to choose one's path to truth and to learn from the travelogue of others. The space to expand one's own spirit and to reconnect after busy or humdrum weeks with the sustaining truths of life. Regular reminders that we must see our world through the lens of love. And the aspiration to consider all life as precious, for all of it is made of stardust. And how can it not be wondrous? So this morning, let's welcome these gifts with gratitude, for they have been paid for with many currencies. The blood of the martyrs who died so we can be free in our religion. The sweat of those who persisted in justice's name against hostility and adversity. The tears of those who struggled to build better lives for those in this life. The questions of our children as they understand the world anew and offer their understanding to us as a fresh lens. The laughter and joy of those giddy with the embrace of community. The dollar and cents of those who gave what they could and then stretched a little more. The infinite acts of service, the infinite small acts of service that make the parts greater than the whole, done by those who knew themselves in sympathy with our purposes. So today, we consider with gratitude and humility what it means to pay forward what has been paid forward for us. And now with all of this, let us enter into worship with gladness in our hearts. It is good to be together again. Please rise in body or spirit and sing hymn number 347, Gather the Spirit.
Fires will kindle
what I noticed were the smiles and laughter. It was received with grace, wasn't it? They're giving you grace, Tracy. I have a good story for you this morning, one of my favorites. It's called We Don't Eat Our Classmates by Brian Higgins. This is a Penelope Rex book, and I have all of them. It's a lot of fun. Okay, Penelope Rex was nervous. It's not every day that little T-Rex starts school. All right. Okay. Oh, okay, yay. Now we're going to move on to the next one. Okay. So Penelope's mother sticks her head in the door. Okay, now, what are my classmates going to be like? Will they be nice? How many teeth will they have? This is very important. Penelope's mom brought her a new backpack with ponies on it. Ponies were Penelope's favorite because ponies are delicious. Penelope's dad packed her a lunch of 300 tuna sandwiches and 1 apple juice. Finally, the big day came, and Penelope Rex was very surprised that all of her classmates were children. Okay, y'all. So she ate them because children are delicious. Penelope Rex, said Mrs. Noodleman, we don't eat our classmates. Please spit them out at once. And so she did. Next slide. It was not the best way to start school. Still, Penelope was determined to have a good day. She tried hard to make friends at recess, and she finger painted some of her very best work. She even saved Griffin Avery a seat at lunch. You can sit here. Penelope started to notice that everyone was making friends but her. It was lonely. When she got home, her dad asked about her first day of school. I didn't make any friends, Penelope cried. None of the children wanted to play with me. Penelope Rex, said her father. Did you eat your classmates? Well, maybe, sort of, just a little bit. Sometimes it's hard to make friends, said her dad, especially if you eat them. You see, Penelope, children are just like us, the same inside, just tastier. And that gave Penelope a lot to think about. The next day, Penelope tried really hard, but poor Penelope, she could not stop herself from eating her classmates. Mrs. Noodleman, Penelope ate William Omoto again. And they were all afraid of her, except Walter. Walter was a goldfish. So Penelope tried to make friends with him. Will you be my friend? She put her finger in the goldfish bowl. Chomp. Ah, cried Penelope, he's eating my finger. Wah. Once Penelope found out what it's like to be someone's snack, she lost her appetite for children. So she stopped eating her classmates, even when Cece Woodman spilled barbecue sauce all over herself. And so soon Penelope made friends. Found you. Want a brownie? I helped make them. Now, even when children look especially delicious, she peeks at Walter and remembers what it's like when someone tries to eat you. And Walter, the goldfish, stares right back at her and licks his lips. Because dinosaurs are delicious.
Thank you, Cathy. That's fun. Each week, we share a portion of our Sunday offering with a social justice cause outside our church walls. This month, we are sharing our loose change collection with the children of T-Rex, with Northwest Indiana Pride Fest. Donations in the baskets will go to sustaining the mission of our congregation, and donations in the cups go to NWI Pride Fest 2026. The event will be held June 6 and 7 at Sunset Hill Farm in Valparaiso. Our beneficiaries this year are IYG, LGBTQ Outreach of Porter County, and Indiana Pride of Color. Each of these organizations is dedicated to the uplift of and advocacy for LGBTQ people in our area and throughout our state. For those not with us in person today, there's an online link for both one-time and regular donations. And thank you, you're already here, so here we go. And now, in the center of our service and in the center of our lives, let us pause to honor the silences of the world. Let's open our hearts to the place of quiet, to the silent prayer for the healing of pain and the soft, gentle coming of love. Before we enter a moment of silence, I want to share this prayer by Lisa Garcia Sampson. Spirit of life and love, Spirit that lives within us and between us and among us right now. Within this beloved community and in our work for collective liberation, may we continue to weave the web of possibility and hope. But more than that, may this church be the site of healing, joy, and freedom. May we refuse to let our spirits be depleted
and hardened by the forces of hate. Instead, may we open ourselves to be nourished and transformed by the movement for justice, knowing that our collective story is not what we are fighting against, but what we are fighting for. For ours is the work of creation. Ours is the work of inviting people into an irresistible movement rooted in our belief that a new world is possible. And the center of our work is love and joy and the spirit of abundance. These are things we are fighting for. These are things we are fighting with. May we know deep in our bones that this is the call of our faith. Amen, and blessed be. Now let us pause for a moment of silence. I invite you now to come forward and light a candle of memory or hope, or just sit quietly as the music continues to hold us in a meditative space. This last candle is for those of you at home. You are in our hearts. Now let us fill this sacred space with the names of the loved ones we hold close in our hearts this morning, some suffering in sorrow and some celebrating in joy. Brian. The breath of nature is upon us. The spirit of life is within us, and the community of love is around us. So be it, and amen.
Joys and sorrows are a time to share personal joys that you are celebrating so we can celebrate with you as a community. It's also time to share personal sorrows that weigh on our hearts so that we can support one another in our times of sorrow or grief. Keep in mind that this part of the service excludes our online members, friends, and visitors. We hold them in our hearts. Thank you.
So our centering hymn is from Sing Out Love. It's called Hold On. It's very short, and Jeremy will lead us. I think there, the words are right there for you.
Reading is Belonging by Rosemary Watola Tromer. And if it's true, we are alone. We are alone together. The way blades of grass are alone, but exist as a field. Sometimes I feel it, the green fuse that ignites us, the wild thrum that unites us, an inner hum that reminds us of our shared humanity, just as 35 trillion red blood cells join in one body to become one blood, just as 136,000 notes make up one symphony, alone as we are, our small voices weave into the one big conversation. No. Ah. Aha.
Our actions.
Ah, thank you.
This is the last of it.
As alone as we are, our small voices weave into the one big conversation. Our actions are essential to the one infinite story of what it is to be alive. When we feel alone, we belong to the grand communion of those who sometimes feel alone. We are the dust that hopes.
Thank you. A house for hope. Since it's been a few years since your current covenant was adopted, the Right Relations team and I are going to guide you in a process of revising it or rewriting it so it speaks to who you are today and those of you who are present now but weren't here back when the covenant was written. Will the Right Relations team stand up? Those who are here, Ruth Halstead, Maggie Reister, David Hayes, Craig Weigel. These are who you'll know. I don't know if you were given a form. I did create some forms that you could fill out where you could choose a date to come. It's going to be mostly the week after Easter. Try to attend one session. And as Maggie said, if these don't work out for you, let me know. We will try to make your voice heard and create new sessions to be included. So why is it important? Why is covenant important? It doesn't speak to the mission of this church, but it outlines not what we shall do, but how we shall do it, and in what spirit. So I said last week, we can't be Unitarian Universalists alone, but it matters what we believe, it matters what we love, and it is in community that we can wrestle with what matters most, that we shall devote our lives to creating a better world. And each congregation has the right and the responsibility to create their own covenantal statement. Think of it as a sacred promise that we make to one another. The values and the principles of our UU principles are intended to be attitudes that all Unitarian Universalists can agree upon, but never meant to replace congregational covenants. And as we are a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, this church community is supposed to be in general agreement with the values and the principles, but how we decide to covenant together in order to live those values is for us to discern and to articulate. Hosea Ballou said, "If we agree in love, there is no disagreement that can do us any injury. But if we do not, no other agreement can do us any good." Let us endeavor to keep the unity of spirit in the bonds of peace. So, covenant might be translated this way. We will walk together in love, approving, sustaining, supporting, and keeping alive the absolute trust and confidence that by doing so, we in community can accomplish extraordinary things in our lives and in the lives of others, such as peace, justice, equity, sustainable living, and a clean earth, compassion, respect for other beings, all possible with our willingness to commit together to work for the good of the whole community, and foregoing at times personal differences or individual desires and or comforts. We celebrate life together in times of joy and show up for one another in times of crisis and pain. James Luther Adams, Unitarian theologian, said you can't make the Holy Spirit work according to an organization chart. Freedom is essential to the spirit of love, but freedom cannot be without guidelines. And here's the creative challenge and why covenant is so essential. There are just too many restrictions. If there are too many restrictions, it stifles creativity. Carte blanche can be abused, sometimes unknowingly and without malice. In the free religious tradition, there must be loyalty above all else to the spirit of love. Alice Blair Wesley says that the ancestors got right these things. The right at the heart of the free church must be the spirit of love. The free church is entirely self-governing, free from outside control whatsoever. And loyalty to the spirit of love simultaneously commits members of the free church to the best understanding of the truth that we can attain. And that means reasoning together in love. No member of a free church can be cast out for a dissent on an issue. If a member's actions seem scornful or sullen or sarcastic, he or she would be called upon the next afternoon to clear things up. Reasoning together in love, this is our great covenant, forbearance and engagement. To join a free church is to sign a promise to keep covenant with other members. Our promise together to one another is to walk together in the spirit of love. Instead of asking what you believe, we ask, how do you intend to live out your covenant? At the time that Rebecca Parker and John Burens co-authored the book titled A House for Hope, they argued that hope was rising in America. Progress was being made in global warming, healthcare, marriage equality, and international conflict. But they said at that time, the culture of fear, prejudice, and oppression cannot be overcome without our help. And they believed that effective work for social change requires people of faith who are theologically literate, and engaged. Parker celebrates congregations' potentiality to be communities of resistance, teachers of covenant and interdependence, sustainers of life-nourishing ritual. We are living in urgent times these days, and much is required of us. And how will we live into our covenant? In a previous sermon, I talked about competing narratives. We have the narrative of empire, which is trying to overtake our democracy. And then we have the narrative of neighborliness that we are witnessing today. We saw it yesterday. Over 8 million people around the country and the world were protesting peacefully with joy. So I would say, why does religion matter? Sometimes we Unitarian Universalists are asked that question. Why do you bother? Why go to church if you don't believe in God or that Jesus died for our sins? So religion, we can look at it this way, comes from the Latin word which means reconnection. And the salvation comes from the Latin root salve, which means a healthy kind of wholeness. Putting them together, you have religion is the search for the feeling of reconnection to a healthy kind of wholeness. This puts a different spin on the business of religion, don't you think? It's like Isaiah's streams in the desert, only it isn't God, a supernatural being, making those streams. It is us. And this explains why, if we are going to help change the world, we must be engaged. So I want to tell you the way that they outline the House for Hope. They're thinking of our theological house and how we can articulate frames that give our dreams shape and meaning. So first is the garden. The earth is our habitation, the home that gives us birth and is our final resting place. Our earth is being threatened by climate change and has been damaged by humanity's failure to establish just and sustainable economic systems. The sheltering walls are religious community. We are not bound by doctrine or creed, but instead by covenant. How do we build community walls and still engage in interfaith dialogue and cooperation? And then there's the roof. What can protect life from harm and repair or restore lives? How do we speak of the ultimate mystery that is the source and sustenance of all life, the source that some call God? How do we, Unitarians, make room for those people who do call that source God? How do we understand in our welcoming rooms not only the nature of God, but the nature of being human together? How do we welcome the stranger into our midst? With any house of hope, there breathes a sense of the holy, a response to the sacred spirit or spirits present in life, inspiring creativity, compassion, and social action. Worship, art, ritual, and music shape religious community, infusing the environment and making space for people to breathe. I feel it, don't you? There's breathing space that we create in this space. And then there's the threshold. What is our mission? What thresholds do we need to cross to promote justice, compassion, and peace? We are called to bring something to others in the world, and we are to receive it as well. We don't have all the answers. We need to be willing to accept that others that we don't agree with might have other answers to give us. So thinking about the garden, it is a perfect symbol of hope, though, isn't it? Starting with crocuses. Anybody have crocuses coming up? Doesn't that feel lovely? We who live in the North Country understand that the hope of spring never dies. It almost did this year. It is instead enhanced by the scent of fall leaves, the warmth of crackling fire, and the homemade winter soups and stews, by the moonlight on the snow-covered fields with dormant grass laying hidden beneath. The poet Mary Oliver says the pine trees never forget their recipe for renewal. And she encourages us to consider always, every day, the determination of the grass to grow despite unending obstacles. So the sheltering walls of a progressive religious community can enable people to claim and deepen the values that dominate culture, that the dominant culture is ignoring or denying. They enable us to create a good life together, a community of resistance, a creative, joyful independence that will support us through radical changes and to help us live peacefully. And so they say that the roof is the metaphor for salvation. And we learned earlier that salvation comes from the Latin word which refers to a healthy kind of wholeness. Theologian Walter Rauschenbusch rejected the notion that humanity's rebellion against God, God's rule, is the root of all sin. He said, when theological definitions speak of rebellion against God as the common characteristic of sin, It reminds us of the readiness of despotic governments to treat every offense as treason. Our universe is not a monarchy with God above and the starry canopy and ourselves down here. It is a spiritual commonwealth with God in the midst of us. Sin is not a betrayal of God, but a betrayal of one another. Sin matters not because it disappoints, offends, or alienates God, but because it destroys life-giving relationships of love and justice in human affairs, leaving tragedy and broken hearts in its wake. We are not saved by Jesus dying on the cross. We are saved by every person in every time and place that has stood up for what is true in spite of threat, like Jesus, like Socrates, like Gandhi, and Martin Luther King, and those who are standing up against authoritarianism today, the people in Minneapolis who taught us the true meaning of love thy neighbor, and all the people who organized and marched yesterday. And the foundation that we are built on. Taoism teaches us that life is the strongest force in the world, but it is also the most fragile and vulnerable, and it needs our help. This common understanding was at the heart of what has been called the social gospel. While some religions were more concerned with the afterlife than the here and now, others lived out their religious values through good works. Rebecca Parker says it is forgotten often that religion in America has more often than not been liberal in its spirit and progressiveness in social impact. The United States, she said, was born in an era of Enlightenment religion and increasing concern about human rights. Religious folks were the driving force in the movement to end slavery, to establish equal rights for women, and more. John Burns begins his chapter on foundation with the statement that God changes. When I entered seminary in the fall of 1999, I believed in a divine plan. God was unchanging and all-knowing. And the first semester of seminary is often called the deconstruction period, for good reason. Not only do I no longer believe in a divine plan, but I'm also clear that change is inevitable and that God is a verb. God is relational. James Luther Adams' favorite definition of God is community-forming power. And so then we have the welcoming rooms. What is radical hospitality? Radical means drastically different from ordinary practice, outside the normal. And it provokes practices that exceed expectations, that go the second mile, that take welcoming the stranger to the max. It means people offering the absolute utmost of themselves, their creativity, their abilities, and their energy to offer gracious invitation. This church is a loving and warm community that cares deeply about one another. We try to greet the newcomer and the stranger, but there are times when we fall short. Every church falls short. We can improve on our relationships beyond the walls of this church. And I ask you to think about what would that look like. And so the final fifth focus of the House for Hope is the threshold. What is our mission? What thresholds do we need to cross to accomplish that mission? And every theological house has its doorways, its point of entrance, and departure. Thresholds are sacred places symbolizing the permeable boundary between community's inner circle and the wider world. And they mark the importance of a movement between shelter and adventure, of arriving home and then setting out, inviting reflection on the relationship between those outside and those inside, a given framework of meaning. So how do we regard the other who's outside of our house? These are the questions that fall into the theological topic of missiology, mission and evangelism. Missiology is the study of the history and the foundations and methodology of missions. Some perspectives divide those outside from those inside, claiming that they on the inside hold the truth, but the outsiders must be converted to insiders, that they must be assimilated. Rebecca Parker says a theological house can be a place of hospitality to any who seek shelter. It honors religious diversity and welcome creative exchange among multiple religious practices and perspectives. It greets the other as a holy guest and urges its residents to venture out and engage with the world. And this is the way of progressive faith. An open door stands at the threshold of our theological house, its door sill well worn by comings and goings. So the flame of our faith lies dormant until we choose to light it. The flame of hope flickers until we choose to preserve it, and the flame of love wanders until we choose to guide it. The flame of community wanes unless we choose to combine it. I'm telling you all this because I know you're looking tired and bored, but I want you to think about these things. They're very important. Before we enter into our covenanting process, be thinking about these things. How do we welcome the other? How do we enter into their space as well? I love that you all care for one another so deeply. We need to take that care outside to the others who we don't agree with. That's the challenge, isn't it? So I close with the words from the prayer that I shared earlier. May we refuse to let our spirits be depleted and hardened by the forces of hate. Instead, may we open ourselves to be nourished and transformed by this movement for justice, knowing that our collective story is not what we are fighting against, but what we are fighting for. For ours is the work of creation. Ours is the work of inviting people into an irresistible movement rooted in the belief that a new world truly is possible. And at the center of our work is love and joy and the spirit of abundance. These are the things we're fighting for, and these are the things we are fighting with. And may we know deep in our bones that this is the call of our faith. Amen, and blessed be. Please rise and body your spirit and join me in singing hymn 1015 in the Teal hymnal, I Know I Can.
I invite you now to join me in reciting the words on the screen or in your order of service and accompanying the extinguishing of the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of our commitment. Peace is prayer of our hearts until we are together again.
These words for benediction are by Reverend Scott Taylor. Having received sanctuary for our heavy hearts, may we make shelter for those feeling alone. Having been renewed in spirit, may we remind others why hope is always worth the risk. Having returned to the truth of our interconnection, may we remember that injustice afflicted on one is injustice inflicted on all of us. And having received the blessing of belonging, may we work to widen the circles that have kept others out for far too long. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.
Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, the smiles returning to their faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Sun, 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 here it comes. 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 Little darling, I feel the ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright.
Hey, coffee hour. Join us for coffee hour and conversation. Next. Yep, sign up for the workshop. And next Sunday's Easter. So join us for Easter Sunday.